Walk through any supermarket today, and you'll see the same words everywhere. Healthy, natural, fitness, low-fat, organic. The packaging is clean. The colors are bright. The labels promise energy, wellness, balance. And most people assume something very simple. If a food is marketed as healthy, it must be good for you. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of the foods people buy specifically to be healthier are actually some of the most processed foods in the entire store. They don't look unhealthy. They don't feel unhealthy. But behind the marketing language, many of them are loaded with sugar, refined carbohydrates, artificial additives, or ultra-processed ingredients. In other words, the food industry has become extremely good at creating products that look healthy without actually being healthy. And the reason this works is psychological. People aren't just buying food. They're buying reassurance. They're buying the feeling that they're making the right decision. Today we're going to uncover a category of foods that nutrition researchers sometimes call health halo foods. Products that appear healthy because of branding, buzzwords, or clever packaging. But nutritionally, they often tell a very different story. Let's start with one of the biggest traps in modern nutrition: breakfast. For decades, breakfast has been marketed as the foundation of a healthy day. And many people try to choose foods that feel responsible. But some of the most popular breakfast options are surprisingly misleading. Take flavored yogurt. At first glance, yogurt seems like a perfect health food. It contains protein. It contains probiotics. And plain yogurt can absolutely be nutritious. But many flavored yogurts contain large amounts of added sugar. In some cases, a single serving can contain as much sugar as dessert. The yogurt itself may be healthy, but the flavoring often transforms it into something very different. Then there's granola. Granola has one of the strongest health reputations in modern food culture. It's associated with hiking, nature, fitness, and wholesome living. But many commercial granolas are made with large amounts of sugar, syrups, and oils to make them crunchy and flavorful, which means a small bowl can contain far more calories than most people expect. What looks like a light breakfast can quickly become a calorie-dense meal. Another breakfast staple is the breakfast bar. These bars promise convenience and nutrition. They're marketed to busy professionals, students, and parents rushing out the door. But if you examine the ingredient list on many breakfast bars, you'll notice something familiar: refined grains, added sugar, flavor syrups. In many cases, breakfast bars are nutritionally very similar to candy bars, just with healthier packaging. Instant oatmeal also carries a strong health image. Oats themselves are nutritious. They contain fiber and beneficial compounds. But flavored instant oatmeal packets often contain added sugars and flavorings. The oats may still be there, but the added ingredients can significantly change the nutritional balance. Now let's move into another category of foods that many people associate with health: drinks. Liquid calories can be especially misleading because they feel lighter than solid food, and the marketing around them is powerful. Fruit juice is one of the most common examples. It comes from fruit. It contains vitamins, and for decades, it has been presented as a healthy morning drink. But when fruit is turned into juice, much of the fiber is removed, which means the sugar enters the bloodstream much faster. Drinking a glass of juice can deliver the sugar equivalent of several pieces of fruit at once, without the fiber that normally slows absorption. Smoothie drinks often create a similar illusion. A smoothie can absolutely be healthy when made with whole ingredients, but many commercial smoothies contain fruit concentrates, syrups, and sweetened yogurt, which can turn what appears to be a healthy drink into something closer to a dessert beverage. Then there's vitamin water. The name itself sounds like health. Water with vitamins. What could be wrong with that? But many versions of vitamin water contain added sugar levels similar to soda. The vitamins may be there, but so is a significant amount of sugar. Next comes a category that became extremely popular during the diet culture boom: low-fat and diet foods. For decades, people were told that reducing fat was the key to weight control. So food companies created low-fat versions of almost everything. Low-fat cookies, low-fat desserts, low-fat snacks. But when fat is removed from food, something usually replaces it. Often sugar, or refined starch, which means many low-fat snacks are still highly processed foods, just with a different label. Diet desserts operate in a similar way. They promise indulgence without guilt. But they're often built from artificial sweeteners, flavor additives, and ultra-processed ingredients designed to mimic the taste of traditional desserts. They may contain fewer calories, but they're still heavily engineered products. Artificial sweetener products are another controversial category. Some people use them to reduce sugar intake, and in certain contexts they may help with calorie control. But research is still exploring how artificial sweeteners influence appetite, gut bacteria, and cravings. In some individuals, they may actually increase the desire for sweet foods. Now let's look at another powerful marketing category: fitness foods. These products often target people who are trying to improve their health, which makes their marketing especially persuasive. Protein bars are a good example. Protein is essential for muscle repair and satiety. But many protein bars contain long ingredient lists filled with syrups, artificial flavorings, and processed proteins. Some contain as much sugar as traditional snack bars, which means the protein label can sometimes distract from the rest of the ingredients. Energy drinks operate under a similar illusion. They're marketed as performance enhancers, products that increase focus and stamina. But many energy drinks contain large amounts of caffeine combined with significant sugar content. The short burst of energy they provide can sometimes be followed by a noticeable crash. Sports drinks also fall into this category. They were originally designed for endurance athletes performing intense physical activity. But marketing expanded their audience to everyday consumers. For most people doing moderate exercise, plain water is usually enough. Sports drinks often contain added sugars that are unnecessary outside of prolonged athletic events. Finally, we arrive at one of the most powerful psychological effects in food marketing: the health halo. This happens when a single label makes people assume the entire product is healthy. One example is gluten-free junk food. For individuals with celiac disease, gluten-free diets are essential. But gluten-free cookies, chips, and desserts are still processed snack foods. Removing gluten does not automatically make them nutritious. Organic junk food works the same way. Organic ingredients may avoid certain pesticides or farming methods. But organic candy is still candy. Organic chips are still chips. The word organic can create the illusion of health, even when the food itself remains highly processed. Vegan junk food creates a similar effect. Plant-based diets can absolutely be healthy. But vegan cookies, vegan ice cream, and vegan snack foods are still indulgent products. Removing animal ingredients does not automatically make a food nutritionally balanced. The deeper lesson behind all of this is surprisingly simple. The healthiest foods in the world rarely need marketing. Fresh vegetables don't need flashy packaging. Whole fruits don't need bold health claims. Simple foods rarely rely on buzzwords, because their value is obvious. But ultra-processed foods often depend heavily on marketing language. Words like natural, fitness, organic, gluten-free, low-fat, high protein. These labels can highlight one positive attribute, while quietly distracting from the overall nutritional picture. Which is why learning to read beyond marketing is one of the most valuable skills in modern nutrition. Because sometimes, the foods that look the healthiest on the outside are simply the best examples of how powerful marketing can be.